Have you ever wondered who really held the power behind the thrones of history? It wasn't always the knights in shining armor or the kings with their crowns. Often it was the master strategists of the marketplace, the merchant kings. Welcome to our journey into the golden age of commerce, where we'll unveil how dynasties were built not just on bloodlines, but on gold. Long before stock markets and global corporations, a powerful class of merchants was reshaping the world. From the bustling ports of the Mediterranean to the legendary Silk Road, these weren't just simple traders. They were visionaries, diplomats, and sometimes the secret puppet masters of empires. They commanded vast networks that crisscrossed continents, linking civilizations and economies in ways never seen before. How did they do it? It all started with strategic alliances. Merchants understood that to build wealth, you had to build relationships. They formed partnerships that transcended borders and cultures, creating a web of influence that stretched from the farthest corners of Asia to the heart of Europe. This network wasn't just for moving goods, it was for moving information, securing favors, and quietly steering the course of politics. To manage their growing fortunes, these merchant kings pioneered financial systems that are the direct ancestors of modern banking. They developed sophisticated methods of credit, created bills of exchange, and established banking houses that financed everything from trade expeditions to royal wars. Think of the Medici family in Florence. They were bankers first, who then became one of the most powerful dynasties in Europe, producing popes and queens. Their economic power translated directly into political power. This explosion of trade didn't just make people rich, it created a vibrant cultural exchange. As caravans and ships moved silks, spices, and precious metals, they also carried ideas, art, religions, and technologies. The Renaissance itself was fueled by the wealth of Italian merchant cities like Venice and Genoa. Their patronage allowed artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci to create their masterpieces. It was a time when economic prosperity directly led to a flourishing of human creativity and knowledge. The legacy of these merchant networks is all around us. The very concept of globalization, this interconnected world we live in today, has its roots in these ancient trade routes. The practices they established, from international finance to contract law, still form the bedrock of modern commerce. The rise of these merchant civilizations laid the groundwork for the global economy. As their economic power swelled, merchants began to fundamentally alter political structures. In many city-states, powerful merchant families took direct control, forming republics where wealth and business acumen were the keys to leadership. In larger kingdoms, their influence was more subtle but no less significant. Monarchs, who once relied on feudal lords and land, started to see the immense potential of commerce. To formalize their power and regulate the booming trade, merchant guilds emerged. These organizations were like a combination of a trade union, a chamber of commerce, and a regulatory body. They set quality standards, fixed prices, and trained apprentices, ensuring a stable and reliable marketplace. Guilds became so powerful that they could negotiate directly with kings and queens, often shaping national economic policy. Their influence was so profound that they could make or break a city's economy. Even major historical events like the Crusades were deeply intertwined with commerce. While often framed as religious wars, they were also a massive opportunity for merchants. Italian city-states in particular grew fabulously wealthy by providing transport, supplies, and financing to the Crusader armies. They secured exclusive trading rights in captured territories, effectively controlling the lucrative trade routes to the east and cementing their economic dominance for centuries. This era marked a dramatic shift in social status. In many ancient societies, merchants were looked down upon, considered a lower class than warriors or landowners. But by the medieval and Renaissance periods, their status had soared. Wealth from trade could buy land, titles, and political influence, blurring the lines between the old aristocracy and the new merchant elite. A successful merchant could command more respect and wield more real-world power than a minor noble with a long lineage but an empty purse. Monarchs, always hungry for power and revenue, quickly realized that controlling trade was the key to strengthening their rule. They began to centralize control over commerce, moving it away from the fragmented power of local lords. By doing this, they could tax it more effectively, filling the royal coffers and funding their ambitions. This economic power was the engine that drove the rise of strong, centralized nation-states. One of the most powerful tools a monarch could wield was the royal charter. By granting a charter to a group of merchants, a king could create a legal monopoly over trade in a specific region or for a particular commodity. Think of the British East India Company or the Dutch East India Company. These were private enterprises granted immense power by the state. They could raise armies, sign treaties, and essentially govern vast territories, all in the name of profit, which was then shared with the crown. This partnership between monarch and merchant enriched both, creating vast colonial empires. This new economic landscape had a profound effect on the old feudal system. The power of feudal lords was based on land and the loyalty of their vassals. But as a cash-based economy grew, their influence waned. Kings no longer had to rely solely on their nobles for military service. They could now use their newfound wealth from trade to hire professional paid armies, mercenaries who were loyal to whoever paid them. This shift fundamentally consolidated royal authority, making the king the undisputed center of power. This consolidation wasn't just about economics, it was also about military might. The revenue from trade allowed monarchs to invest in new military technologies. Gunpowder, cannons, and advanced shipbuilding changed the face of warfare. Fortified castles that had stood for centuries could now be brought down by artillery. A powerful navy could protect trade routes, project power across oceans, and establish colonies. These military advancements, funded by commerce, were crucial for territorial expansion and royal dominance. Interestingly, the exchange of goods and ideas also fostered a greater sense of shared identity. Commerce connected distant parts of a kingdom, creating common economic interests and a shared culture. In some cases, a shared religion, promoted and protected by the monarch, served as a unifying force that reinforced political loyalty. A unified, stable kingdom was good for business, and good business, in turn, strengthened the kingdom. It was a self-reinforcing cycle of power and prosperity. The evolution of military tactics themselves was a product of this interconnected world. Trade didn't just move silk, it moved knowledge. Military strategies and innovations could travel along the same routes. A new tactic developed in Italy could soon be seen on a battlefield in France. This constant exchange accelerated the evolution of warfare, and the monarchs who could best adapt and innovate were the ones who came out on top. Ultimately, the story of the merchant kings is the story of how wealth shapes power. It's a reminder that behind the grand narratives of kings and conquests, there are often the quiet, calculated moves of those who control the flow of money. They built empires of gold, reshaped the world map, and their influence echoes in our globalized society today. The throne rooms may have held the symbols of power, but the counting houses often held the real thing. Thank you so much for joining us on this historical deep dive. If you found this journey into the world of merchant monarchs fascinating, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next exploration into the hidden forces that shaped our world. See you next time.